Hi, my name's John Thorne. I own a company called Thorney Motorsport, and we've been in the car tuning business for 20 years. Mainly Vauxhalls, a lot of McLarens, BMWs, but over the years we've done quite a lot of work, mainly with race cars, off-road racing, BMWs, touring car, but mainly we've been road car tuning and doing race car preparation for other teams. It's been a long 20 years, pretty much puts us one of the oldest guys in the country doing road car tuning, but we're proud of our history. And one thing we've learned from being in business for 20 years is two things are most important for being in business. Because number one, you're only as good as your last customer. That's all that matters. Last car out, they're happy, on to the next one. And secondly is you can't sit still. You can't sit there and just sit on your own little market you're comfortable with. You have to keep looking for new and interesting things. Sometimes we get it wrong, and sometimes we get it right. Certainly our McLaren business, we invested in the McLaren tuning market over 5 years ago. Only now it's starting to pay us back. But it's 5 years of hard work and research to learn the cars and do it. We're quite proud of the history from it. It's our Vauxhall history, where we've been tuning Vauxhalls 20 years, BMW as well 20 years. But times are changing, and I'm not changing for the best. Our environment, our world, seems to be suffering from our population a bit, and until we're wiped from the planet, either by God or some other reason, we seem to be continuing to kill it. Now I've hit 50 years old, I am thinking about the future. And to be honest, we are looking at the market in terms of where we're going in terms of combustion engine. Now, as a tuning industry, you think, shock, what do you mean? What's wrong with the petrol engine? It's great, wonderful. The downside we have is no one else seems to think so anymore. The UK government and governments around the world are pushing heavily the electric vehicle agenda. Now, from an environmental point of view, I still do be convinced that the batteries and the electric vehicle market are as good and as green as people say they are. Half of Western Africa appears to be strip mined for the cobalt for batteries. It's not a perfectly clean environment, and I think the comparisons between the whole network in terms of internal combustion engine is far less clear cut in terms of comparisons. But what is clear, and it seems to be backed up by a lot of medical evidence, is that our cities and our towns and our countryside is being smogged out. Now, we can blame power stations, a lot of it. If you look at towns and cities, look at any area where it's heavily populated. Here near Silverstone, we're not overly populated, but smog is still important. The quality of our air is degraded to the point where it is causing issues. Now, as a result of that, governments are acting. If you don't pick up the newspapers, see some of the headlines. Electric vehicles are being pushed heavily, politically, taxation-wise. Everything has been pushed electric vehicle market. And speaking as a road car tuning company in the aftermarket industry, I have to be careful of the future. More importantly, I've done some work with a lot of the manufacturers over the years, and I've asked them. And if you look at them and speak to them, you'll find out that they're not even planning on making internal combustion engines beyond 10 years' time. So another 10 years' time, there won't be a new internal combustion engine. Now, past this will be the same. But if you look at the investment these manufacturers are putting into electric vehicle production, backed by the fact that governments will support them in both tax and terms of supporting money, it's only going one way. And as an aftermarket tuning company, we have to look for the future. So, what we're doing here today? Today we're going to do our final road test. And it's probably the only electric vehicle that we're interested in at the moment, and that is the Jaguar Ipace. Now, it's surprising. I'm walking through other cars. Our main cars at the moment are with our Vauxhalls as well as obviously a McLaren 12C modified to 750 horsepower, and also our X6M, which has been a development vehicle for us for the last 3 years. Been a fantastic workhorse for us, awesome car. What this has to do is beat this for us to buy one. Because the bottom line is that whilst we're thinking about the business, we're thinking about the future, for us it has to be fun. We only got involved in the car tuning market because it's fun. Servicing regular cars day in, day out, no fun. We like looking after enthusiasts and enthusiast type cars, which means M Sport cars, McLarens, high sport, VXL, Vauxhalls, etc. These are the kind of people we work well with, rather than generic public buying a car from A to B. So for us, even an electric vehicle has got to pull at the heartstrings, not just pull at everything else. So, X6M, ours is modified obviously, 750 horsepower, reprogrammed suspension, both the air suspension and the springs, running a wider track, great car. 18 miles per gallon now, which is a bit of a killer. 110 quid to fill it now with fuel. We've done 27,000 miles on it over a couple of years, so not a heavy high miler car, but is used. And it's time, it's going to question is, can we find an electric vehicle to move our company further forward that can replace this in terms of fun? Now, I genuinely don't know. I've road tested the I-Pace a couple of times. I've road tested every Tesla, and it's come down to literally the I-Pace. Reason why? Tesla is just badly built. The Model 3 I road tested earlier this week. Fantastic car, great fun, lots of power. Handling was woeful. I mean, really was woeful. Chris Harris at Top Gear, the same sort of thing, where he said the power was great, but handling was pretty grim. I found the same thing. It can be improved, obviously. But the problem I had was that the build quality of the car, that the spec I drove was £50,000. I wouldn't even put it on a Fiat. It cost £10,000. No, it's a Fiat. So for us, it has to be quality. But the important thing for us is that there's so many little things that we can't modify. At this moment in time, we're not going to start tuning engines and batteries. We do have some good experience in terms of batteries and working with SETI lithium ions with our stealth mountain bike history we've had. We spent several years developing stuff for them. And whilst mountain bikes, say, sort of with a car, the two-wheel market is actually quite a long way advanced in terms of the normal automotive market. The battery-driven car could be much longer. It's a bigger scale. But for us, it has to be fun. It's got to be enjoyable. So we went for a car which we hope will tick all the boxes for an enjoyable car to drive. Okay, the EV side of it, everything else is secondary to us. This is about something that we thought was going to be great fun to drive. Now, for us, one of the reasons why we're here with the I-Pace, we have no history of Jaguar per se, was that we saw the I-Pace race car at Goodwood Festival Speed. Didn't manage to see it too much because we were working there running passenger rides at Goodwood for Yamaha. But I saw it and I thought, that's a nice looking car. More importantly, what it told me was that Jaguar have such belief in their car, they think it's fun enough to race. Now, we build race cars for a living. We've done everything from touring car, British GT down to club racing. So we know what it takes to make a race car. When a manufacturer has enough balls to make, say, an EV car and say, yeah, we're going to race it, even in a fairly controlled environment like a single make series, we have to look at it. And if you look at the pictures of the race car, it's pretty damn good. It's a nice looking car. And if you look at the detailed specifications of it, it's run the same motors, same power output as a standard car. The tweaks that they've done to it is what we are hoping to do to our one if we get one. Our intention, if it passes muster on the road test and we do decide to buy one, is to create a road replica of the I-Pace race car, both visually and in terms of function. We're not going to strip it out on occasion, obviously, but the other stuff we'd like to do, certainly from the I-Pace race cars, you will know, is that the fact you now have adjustable balance in terms of torque between the front and rear wheels. That's crucial, very useful for electric motors. Of course, in video, they drive differently. You have to drive them different in terms of handling, and having the ability to adjust that, a bit like control on Evos, etc., in terms of variable diffs. It's going to be quite something that we think is quite useful. Ditto in terms of suspension. The I-Pace again comes on springs. It does have an air option, but the fact it comes on springs means I can tune it. I can take the downforce and I can adjust. I can change the spring rates. I can change adjustability of them. So I can make the car handle better, assuming it needs better handling it is. But for us, it needs to be half decent out the box. We went with the McLaren 5 years ago. It's already a great car. And what we do is enhance it and improve it as we can. The X6 and all the M Sport cars, same thing. They start off as great cars, and all we're doing is fine tune to get the better bits out of them. The I-Pace, hopefully, will be the same for us. So this video, which will be quite long, is going to be talking about the first time we've tested it, good proper road test on it, talking about some of the handling characteristics, talking about aspects of it, and where we go from there. But who will know whether it's going to win or not? But the first concern I do have, and it's absolutely the first concern, is noise. Okay, this is an X6M. It has one of our straight through exhausts on, has our race caps on, and it makes a racket, frankly, but it's a lovely noise. And you ask anybody who's not into cars, you talk about car noise, they assume it's a negative. You know, who's actually into cars, petrol, I'm afraid. Noise is part of owning the car. I personally, it's a very large part of owning the car. Having a noise and a feel of what the car is doing is crucial. Now, if these things are deathly quiet, it's a big negative for us, and a big negative for the market of enthusiast type owners. I'm hoping, from early road tests, I think I'm okay. There's a different noise. You need to adopt that. But in terms of how these cars perform noise-wise, we know we can't make a twin-turbo V8 out of it. Not feasible. I don't believe in this putting noise generators to make it sound like a car. Forget that. That's garbage. It's got to sound different. And if it's got something we can play with and actually, have some benefit from, then great. So we know we lost that. But the question is, can it handle? Can it be fun? Can it be a car you buy for the performance side of it that happens to be an electric vehicle, rather than buying a car for electric vehicle personally? So, different for us. different kind of market entirely, and frankly a bit of a journey for me personally in terms of the cars that we're driving here. Hopefully you'll find what we're going into, but the first thing about here is we're going to go through, start doing some road tests, start going to some comparison cars, and hopefully end the video at the conclusion of what we're going to do next.
Okay, well the first thing about EV cars is that they're a bit undramatic in terms of starting. When you start, it's like an X6 with a nice sport exhaust on it, you feel it, the whole car's rumbling, it's great fun. With the Jaguar Ipace and pretty much all electric cars, it's button press, simple as that. So you put the brake, hit the start button, and it starts it off. That's it. You want to get a computer boot signal, that's about all you're going to get. After that, it's basically stick it in drive, reverse, off you go. No more drama than that. I'm going to drive my normal test route, which involves a bit of A road, a few roundabouts, a lot of B road, bumpy B road as well, which is the road I use to set up all of our cars, including the McLarens. So we're looking basically to see what the handling is like in terms of bumpy roads, which today's country seems to have a lot more of. Nice smooth A and B roads, and also some roundabouts. Now really what I'm looking for in this final road test is what its handling's like. At the limit, I want to push this thing to see what it's like in terms of how grind corners. And while I'm doing it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the things that we've already learned about it in terms of how you drive these cars, because it is something different compared to a normal internal combustion engine. One of the great things about EVs is how they put the power down. And I've got to admit, as a relative EV newcomer, I'm enjoying it. It really is just pure linear torque, as you can expect, obviously from electric motors rather than engines. And even being used to driving with really high power automatic cars such as the X6M is, there's always a delay, a lag, depending on what gear you're in, etc. Even in the M dynamic mode in the X6, I will be, if I'm looking to overtake someone and I press the accelerator, it'll have to drop down 2 gears. If I drive it in semi-manual mode on the paddles, there's a gear change you have to achieve. Any car with an automatic type box or even a DSG type box has that process of delay between hitting the accelerator and also the right gear being selected and rocketing forward. Not so with electric vehicles, because it is essentially no mechanical, just simply a motor there. It is literally stab the accelerator and it's straight in the back of your head. It's great fun. It's hard not to enjoy it, frankly. It's even short, so very short, sharp stop type driving, which most of this country is all the time. They're great fun. The other thing about EVs very good is the adaptive braking or regenerative braking. So for example, I lift off heavily from the accelerator. The braking done from the regenerative braking is quite direct, almost immediate. And so the harder you lift off, the more regenerative braking you get. So in terms of handling side, it allows you to literally trail brake into the corner. Now, the problem you'll find with the I-Pace is that the stability control is a bit intrusive. But in terms of handling, throwing it round a roundabout, as I am here, well, slowing down now because I can't be in way. The handling of this is very similar to the X6M. The difference is how the weight is controlled. By going through a constant power through the roundabout, you can hear it squeal and understeer like all 4-wheel cars do, and then traction control kicks in. But if I go in hard, hold the brakes, throw it in quite aggressively, and keep the power on, it handles very well. And that's what we've learned about electric vehicles, is that if you go in with a constant accelerator, a constant throttle through a corner, as you would do normally, the weight of the car does build up and start to generate issues. But if you go in and then keep the power reasonably aggressively on through the corner, it's a lot more fun. So I go in hard, point the accelerator through, and I keep the power on. It's enormously good fun. That's the other thing about electric vehicles I didn't really realise. I was expecting this to be a peaceful wafting process as you accelerate. And when you're being delicate and gently speaking, there's no other noise. All I can hear is the aircon fans going. But in terms of hard acceleration and continued, when both the motors are working at full pace, you can definitely hear it. It's quite, I wouldn't say intrusive, it's quite a nice noise. It's not quite the sound of a straight through exhaust from a V8, but in terms of noise wise, it's quite interesting. So if I accelerate gently, I'm not on an A road now on dual carriageway, just gently accelerate, you can't hear anything at all. It's reasonably calm and quiet. If I literally floor it, it sounds a bit like the Starship Enterprise going in, getting set up to go into hyperdrive, which in a very techie, nerdy sort of way is quite fun. But it's not quiet. And anyone who says that these cars are designed to be wafting along in a quiet process, I think is missing the point. The I-Pace, I think, really is the first genuine performance EV, and they haven't hidden that. And it's kind of hard not to like that. What you'll find you'll do is, you're driving on a motorway, if you're being pathetic like I am, is that you're accelerating hard and then lifting off. And because the regenerative brakes are quite aggressive if you lift off quickly, you look at your little charge meter here and it will go power charge, power charge. You'll spend your whole time going flat out full power and then flat out full charge because you're driving like an idiot. But it's quite fun. Again, big swinging roundabouts, lated turning. That's very composed. And you're going quick enough around the roundabout to really enjoy yourself. Which does bring round to the one aspect of buying this car that does concern me. And that's the range and the process of running out of power. Sadly, I'm one of these people who it's called petrol tank roulette. I spend so much time at petrol stations that I try and minimise it. So I will run all the cars I've got down to the bare minimum before I need to charge for fuel. And yes, I have run out of fuel on a few occasions. I ran out on a McLaren outside Silverstone. That was very embarrassing. I've run out in a van a couple of times, which is not a good idea because it's a diesel van and diesels do not like being run into. And a few other cars over the years. So I should learn, really, but I don't. So I run it down to fumes and I top it up. So for me, a battery car where you want to eke out as much miles as you can doesn't really worry me. The difference being, if I run out of fuel on the A43, I can trudge to a petrol station and I can get more fuel. But at this thing, I can't. And that is also where the Tesla does have cars like the Jaguar and the other manufacturers over a barrel, because they have spent their money, or rather their investors' money, on a network of supercharging stations. It is great fun, this car. But you've got to drive it like a little track day car. That's the secret. Drive it like an SUV. You're not going to enjoy it. Oh, that traction control killed that, didn't it? So Tesla have got lots of supercharger stations everywhere, so filling up your battery full of electricity quickly is quite easily done. It's not a slow car. Whereas also Jaguar are relying on the third parties coming out with a network of charging stations, and frankly they're behind. There's quite a lot of slower charging places out of the place, but the high speed chargers, 50 kilowatts and plus, bear in mind Tesla superchargers are 120 kilowatts. It means you'll be stopping and taking you 45 minutes to an hour to top of the tank. Now that would drive me to tears. So that's the one that concerns me. But we picked up this car with 229 miles in range. I'm now down to 123 miles. And I've basically driven it like an idiot with flat out acceleration everywhere for the last 80 miles. So I should have done 100 odd miles, but I've only actually done more because of how I'm driving, has dropped it down by about 20 odd %. Which, bear in mind, I have been driving literally like this. One would suggest that I stopped doing too badly. But yes, so what the question, do you not buy a car because infrastructure's not here yet? Or do you wait until infrastructure's there? The answer's on a postcard. So, after all the road tests, all the driving around, all the filming, are we going to get one? Are we going to swap out our X6M, 750 horsepower, for technically a 400 horsepower I-Pace? And the answer is yes. Now, for the petrol heads amongst you all
throw your hands up in shock and awe. Yes, the lack of noise and lack of fun aspect from what noise the car makes is a big hit, and I will admit we will all miss that. And also, yes, the concern of 220 odd mile range when you're going somewhere without charging points, or you're not sure about where you're going, and being stuck on long journeys is a concern. But I'm hoping that concern will be relieved over a period of time from the network getting better in terms of charging points. We'll miss the noise for sure, but you won't miss anything else about it. It's a great car, X6M. Been a fantastic car for us, huge development vehicle for us. We've done so many vehicles based on the mapping on that. It's paid for itself 100 times over. But as a car for its purpose, I think it's had its day, which is a shame. But the Jaguar has been more of a surprise. Certainly the noise from the little Warp Factor 5 Star Trek type stuff was actually quite fun. I have a 16-year-old son, and he was adamant not getting the X6 because he loves the noise of it. And he gets in this thing and he's big grin in his face. So, and that's something to consider. We're not your typical EV buyer, and I don't think Jaguar are targeting the typical EV buyer. They're targeting the sporting enthusiast in terms of driving, and it's done the trick. I mean, it was great fun. Really enjoyed it. What we won't miss by the X6 is the fact it takes 10 minutes to fill it, the 100-litre old tank, 110 quid to fill it. This should be about £10–15 to fill it. Only 200 mile range, so there's still half the cost. And time, how much time I spend at petrol stations. I kid you not, it must be a day a month to sat there filling cars up. So what next? Right, we'll get one. Haven't figured out what we're going to get yet. They're all the same engine, they're all the same motors, all the same power outputs, trim issue. So we'll try and find one now. And then the first thing we'll do is look at wheels, because we think we can put some lighter weight wheels on there. I'm going to look at the springs and see if we can adjust the suspension aspect. And a lot we're going to do is almost replicating some of what the Ipace race cars are like. So we'll see if we can get hold of the other bodywork. They may or may not sell it to us. But we're going to use it as a development vehicle for that purpose. We'll start doing some upgrades for it as well. And you never know, lo and behold, over time we might be able to do some adjustments. The Ipace race cars, for example, you can adjust the fore-aft potentially to balance between the 4.5 axles. That's a great idea. Evo's done for a while in terms of normal active diffs, but on an electric car, where it's all controlled electronically between two motors, that's got to be something they release. If they won't, we'll certainly ask them to. And that will make a huge difference. Some of the roundabouts we're going around, except you can hear the tyre squeal. That's primarily down to the fact it's got fairly garbage tyres, which we can change as well. But in terms of overall what you can adjust in terms of the motors, that will make a huge difference to handling. But overall, already out of the box, that's an impressive car. We had to spend money on the X6M to get the same sort of comparison. This is out the box car it is now, so it's pretty impressive. So we are going to get one. I know it's a bit of a shock. Thorney Motorsport, 20 years in the history tuning cars, we're buying electric vehicles, but as I said earlier on, this is the way it's going. And either we're with it or we try and ignore it. The hope is other manufacturers will start to do more fun cars like this and start taking the to an enthusiast type market and simply guys going A to B. Hope you enjoyed watching that. Please, looking forward to your comments. There's going to be some negatives, I'm sure. It's an electric vehicle being owned by a tuning company, so that's going to get some comments from there. But from our perspective, we're quite pleased with how it's gone, and we are going to be moving forward with it. But please, comment, share, do subscribe. We're going to be doing updates and stuff of this for how we get on with the Jaguar, along with all the McLaren stuff we already do, and the BMW stuff we've done. So it'll be interesting to see your comments. You never know, maybe I'll get into electric vehicles, or maybe not. Thanks for watching, though. Cheers.